All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's delegating, orchestrating, broadcasting, AI inference, developing, anything to do with the Livepeer ecosystem. We are here to ask questions and get answers. So today we got an agenda item ahead of us. We got two Q&A sessions. One is Xiling, and the second is OriginStory. About a pre-proposal, an SPE pre-proposal. So yeah, let's get ourselves kicked off with Xiling. Xiling, are you with us?
Yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
there we go.
Cool.
Do you want to start us off with an introduction of kind of who you are, kind of, and how you got into Livepeer? Take us back to the beginning of kind of the roadmap of how you got into Livepeer and what your role is with Livepeer.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Xiling. I just joined Livepeer a month ago as a senior product manager, focusing on the growth of Livepeer ecosystem. Before that, I actually heavily involved in the protocol labs, the Filecoin ecosystem. My role there was to collaborate with, the startup invested by protocol labs and also focusing on the compute network and generating innovative products to get people benefit from decentralized storage. And that role actually set a great foundation for my current role with Livepeer as through that experience, I noticed the importance to find a niche use case. As we all know, nowadays everybody is building that decentralized compute platform, right? But what are the unique use case that could stand out? So I found Livepeer and super interested by the real-time AI offering. And I'm basically working with you all in the ecosystem to develop that AI product offering and hopefully gather insights to enhance orchestrator experience and optimize the network performance. I'm super excited to learn about your challenge, insights, and ideas, as I know a lot of you have been in the ecosystem for a while, many years. So super excited to hear what's your take on the next phase of the Livepeer growth.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. So I think that the goal of this conversation is get to know you more and kind of where your origin story comes from and kind of uh, what you bring to the network. And we would love to just learn more. So, you mentioned that you were with Protocol Labs and the Filecoin ecosystem prior to coming over to Livepeer. You want to bring us back to even further before that? Like, what were you doing before Protocol Labs? What got you interested in crypto? Can you kind of bring us back to the beginning?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So actually before Program Labs, I was a product manager at Microsoft, and working on the basically the cloud technologies specifically related to and also like a video product, educational product called Flipgrid. So essentially it's like a educational type of TikTok, help educators facilitate virtual classroom management. And that's how through working at Microsoft, I actually met colleagues, who are interested in crypto. That is the kind of the beginning of a pandemic, right? Like we saw like the kind of second wave of crypto. And I basically I they my colleagues hand over me like a book about Ethereum, yeah, and that's basically piqued my interest to explore the Ethereum network and the whole ecosystem. And basically, I find like Filecoin technology like IPFS, right, which is super interesting to distribute data storage, right? And yeah, and then like that's also like I'm heavily involved in like startup building. Like I was a mentor of Techstar And just 2 years ago, Techstar had a partnership with Filecoin Foundation to basically incubate 12 companies using IPFS and decentralized storage technologies. And that's how basically I judged the 12 companies in that competition and have basically deeper understanding of the real use cases and applications for decentralized storage technologies, and decided, to jump the boat and working this technology and collaborate with the company much closer. Yeah. So I would say like my kind of career is related to I have like the uh understanding and background in video cloud technologies, and just super excited to see, how Web3 could basically democratize this world as well. Yeah. Also, I'm super interested in data, as like my first job was actually a data scientist versus a product manager. So I'm always interested to see, how we can apply data uh, to the real world use cases.
Very cool. That's excellent. I didn't know you came from Microsoft, and then you moved into this field, and it's with a data science background. That's quite interesting and relevant. So um, it's great to see you come on board. What makes you interested? And for those that are listening, please write down your questions for Xiling. Either put them in the chat or put them off to the side, so that when we get to open Q&A session, you have some questions. Uh, what made you interested? You kind of mentioned this, decentralized network, and IPFS was interesting to you. What made you interested in decentralized networks to begin with?
Yeah, so for decentralized network, basically, I think there are a couple of points, right? First, the fact that with more and more open source model on board, right, we basically need a true kind of open network, right, to enable folks to basically unleash their creativity, right, versus rely on a centralized infrastructure. As we saw, like there are more and more incidents happened, right, in our decentralized network, like the single point of failure, right, that could happen at any time. The second reason for decentralized technology, that thing I love, is it could basically democratize the kind of monetization mechanism, right? If you think about the cost of centralized infrastructure, basically they determine the cost, right? Like you basically they control a lot of things versus, okay, in a decentralized world, right? Like you could set up your own price, and you could basically benefit from that mobility as well, as either as a consumer for the technology, the infra, or as the creator for this infrastructure. So I think that democratize the technology as well, and to some extent lower the cost. And yeah, and lastly, um just the fact, like if you see there are so many developers in um basically, like I think I'm always curious to work on kind of 0 to 1 product, right? And as you can see, the decentralized technology is still at its very infant stage, so there's still a lot of unsolved problems, right, that you could work on, and that's what excites me too.
Very cool. I think decentralized networks and that idea of ownership resonates with a lot of people in the community, and opens up so many new primitives around, ownership and content, and how we interact on the web. So it's really cool to see that you align with that, and uh, great perspective. So I want to move forward now. So you were with Microsoft and like Protocol Labs and with IPFS. What when you were with Protocol Labs, what did you see as being some of the biggest challenges in dealing with decentralized networks and collaboration and community? Like, what do you think was a challenge, or what do you think was done really well that you would like to see in the Livepeer ecosystem?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I would say like one of the biggest challenges, we try to drive the adoption in the web 2 world. Basically, we try to drive the adoption, right, for those technologies. But when we try to establish partnership with web 2 companies, it's always challenging, to change that pers perspective that, uh Web3 is not just about crypto, it's not just about cryptocurrency. It's actually about that, there is technology behind it, right? And that is something super difficult uh, to convey when you try to establish partnership with, enterprise entities and get, for example, high quality enterprise client in that world. So I think that's something we need to do as a whole Web3 community, right? To uh, change that perspective. It take time, and also it take upgrades in product and protocol as well. Yeah. So I think in order to actually generate massive adoption, it's really we need to deliver that in sometimes business context as well. So not yeah, big yeah. So I would say like the barrier for normal people to enter in this world is still relatively high, and in order to establish long lasting business partnership, uh, we still have a long way to go in terms of the offering stability and the infrastructure stability. Yeah, I saw that it become very challenging problems in protocol labs and also other Web3 entities. Yeah, the other thing is just also related to incentives, right? Um, how to actually drive actual adoption without keep subsidizing, right? That's also a challenge. I think a lot of companies nowadays are dealing like find that use case that have adoptions is still remain challenging.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, finding adoption and product market fit for these networks is challenging, and Web 2 is probably resistant to it. Do you ever think decentralized networks will gain mass adoption? Do you think they'll wipe out the Web 2 ways of doing things, or do you think they will kind of coincide with Web 2 and have specific use cases that make sense for that type of technology? Like, how do you see Web 3 decentralized networks fitting in with the current internet?
Mm. Yeah, that's super awesome question. Yeah, I would say there are a lot of ways like Web3 and Web 2 could coexist, right? Like, I think the key uh, barrier I previously mentioned is related to kind of user experience, right? Like how to actually smooth out that user experience that people don't even know, this is like the Web3 technology is backing that, right? Like one scenario I saw is working pretty well is, for example, if you look at like Coinbase, right? They have some Web3 product. They also like heavily invest in Web3 protocol like Base and other related ecosystem, right? So they developed that kind of digital wallet that like basically have, for example, Coinbase reputation in the back, right? But they are actually using the Web3 technology without having the user even aware of that, right? Because it's so seamless, like through that the smart wallet experience. I would say that could be a way for Web3 product get adoption, right? Like when you actually build a solid user experience and having the user benefit from the Web3 technologies, the securities without even notice that. That's one adoption I saw, the digital wallet. And those use cases are super powerful, right? When you think about the some developing countries, right? When their like own country currencies keep inflating, right? Having a way to access crypto in a user-friendly way is super powerful. So I do see that could be one way to do that through Web3 technologies. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So we've gone through a bit of your past, your role with Microsoft doing Did you say with Microsoft you're doing? Did you say TikTok for education? Like it was video related content? Is that's what you're working on?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So basically the product was acquired by Microsoft during pandemic, and this is a educational video, this kind of like a video discussion platform, like for example, Google have its own Google Classroom, right? So Microsoft basically acquired the product to build a similar video related technology. Yeah. And basically my role there was to integrate this product with other Microsoft products like Microsoft Teams, Microsoft EDU products to increase its presence. Yeah, it's super fascinating to see the uptake of this product during pandemic, particularly in the areas outside of US like Mexico, India. Yeah, it's pretty much needed by educators worldwide during pandemic. Yeah, as this is the primary way for them to interact with students, for students to interact with each others too.
Very cool. So it sounds like you've got some video related background, and that falls quite in line with what Livepeer is doing with everything video. So let's move forward to today. Right now your role with Livepeer is product manager. I think Osman in chat here is also asking this question. What would entail? What are the goals of a product manager? What would you be doing day to day? What would your ideal outcome be of working as a product manager?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, honestly, I'm also figuring that out. Yeah, given this is my first month, but like overall, I would say it's really trying to work as a kind of ecosystem PM. So right now we have besides Livepeer Inc, we have like so many awesome as SPEs, right, helping the ecosystem grow together alongside with the community. So I think one way I would like to achieve, one success I would like to potentially achieve along with you all is to build, a cohesive ecosystem roadmap that basically, is a cohesive product roadmap that uh, that prioritize, the important work that gonna benefit the whole ecosystems. So uh, with that being said, that could include, for example, enhance orchestrator experience, optimize network performance, right, and other um, other basically products that gonna benefit Livepeer. So I think building that cohesive product roadmap is one way. I will it's basically what I will be focusing on, and that also involves operationalize, those work, right? It's more than a roadmap. It basically will be a operational plan to actually make things happen. Yeah, that's one work. The other work is to um, really help us identify the product market fit, right? As I previously mentioned, like based on my past experience, it's still remain a challenging for Web3 products to find its own product market fit, right? And now with all this like AI buzzword, how do I actually find that product market fit and having real adoption and usage? That involves talking to real customers, right? Like engage with, for example, Comfy UI communities for our real-time AI product offering, and those will be my focus as well. Try to identify the product market fit uh, with the community as well. So we can have a differentiator that will eventually benefit the Livepeer ecosystem too.
Yeah, I think that second part you mentioned about product market fit and helping, developers, onboard the Livepeer product into their service really resonates with our community. I think over the at least for my time being here, almost 4 years, I would say encouraging users and developers to use our technology and to build is probably our number one kind of want or focus or interest. From a node operator's perspective, we spend we're all a bunch of people that love to get around and optimize nodes and optimize our setups and talk and get together every Monday to figure out how we can better improve the service of Livepeer. But I think we would love to see that focus and drive on helping developers use the Livepeer product, right? So I
Mhm.
think that really
Yeah.
resonates with us. So it's really cool. Um,
Yeah, so ultimately, right, we can have add additional revenue, right, for orchestrators too, right? So then like, we have like ease fee earning, right, from those workload. Yeah, that will benefit the whole ecosystem as well.
yeah, that's definitely from a node operator's perspective. I would say that yeah, we would love to see more demand driving efforts. Not that there hasn't been. It's just like you said, finding that product market fit, finding that killer app, finding that big user is a that's a difficult and full time challenge. Right? So when as product manager, are you going to be focusing on the real time AI initiative that's coming out this month or next month primarily, or are you also kind of working on all the suite of products that Studio offers, like streaming, video streaming, and also working with the AI SPE for AI inference? Like, what is kind of your focus? Do you have a roadmap ahead of you, or are you figuring that out right now?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so I would say like we like Hunter in the ecosystem right now, his focus is to get that the AI real time offering like December launch smooth and ready, and like I'm helping him uh on that. And, like my primary focus right now is to create that ecosystem roadmap. For example, for next Q1, right? How do we marshal the resources we have, right? Like AI SP and all the other like cloud SP, right? The other SPs towards the goal we want to achieve. So that's also like I split some time on that too. Yeah, and yeah, and also think about potentially spin out other SPE programs that could benefit our ecosystem too.
Very cool.
So if you guys have good suggestions, yeah, let me know. Yeah, as we are forming the Q1 roadmap at the moment. Yeah.
Excellent. I'd like to open it up now. I do have some more questions, but I'd like to open it up now for anyone who has questions for Xiling. Have so far. If you want to jump in and ask them, go ahead. And another question that I have is, we're really trying to encourage, startups. We've done many startup programs. We have run hackathons. We want startups to be building on top of us and trying to find that product market fit, that mass adoption, that killer app. You mentioned earlier that you were a mentor of Techstar, and in that world, could you give us some feedback on what you think you see as the biggest challenge for startups? What kind of makes them succeed or not succeed based on your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question, and like it's also a very broad question. Yeah, so I think like for startups, they like succeed fair like for many reasons, right? Like I will only just from my own experience interacting with them is I think like what makes or breaks a startup, the reason could vary it, but like one thing I was there I would say like the grit of a founder and the conviction of a founder really make a difference. So like and also the you know the adaptability to the market is also very important, right? Because ultimately the uh have like particularly in the Web3 world, the market change super quickly, right? So you have to have that adaptability and really watch out the market signal. And alongside that, the development speed in the Web3 world is also super important. Like for example, last year the wave is, and also including this year, right? The wave is about AI, but nobody can predict like what's the wave in the next year. So I would say like having that development agility is also super important.
Very cool. Yeah, it's good to hear that you have this type of experience and knowledge, and that you have this perspective, because you're going to be dealing with these companies and or people and their startups, and so you have this great bird's eye view of experience of what you've seen, people do poorly or what you've done well, and so you can also be in a mentoring role as well as product manager, and figuring out you know good fits for integrations, which is excellent. Um, another we have a question here from Osman. It's a long question, so I'll read it out. Could you maybe describe in a little more detail a day's work to achieve those goals you mentioned? For instance, will you be contacting developers and orchestrators? Will you be contacting Livepeer Studio as major clients to the service, coordinating any work between them? Will you also be reaching other projects, digging up collaborations with other projects maybe? Or would you be trying to uh, straight up find new clients for the service? I guess I'm just trying to understand more specifically of what the role entails. You want to
Mhm.
try and answer that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think like Osman, you actually touched multiple points. Like, yeah, actually like I'm doing a mix of those works. Like, if you think about like day-to-day operation is really about, working with, the engineering team, both in AISPE team and other SPE teams to really get understand, what are the basically what are we trying to build, right? And actually validate those those things with like task with like the audience, right? Like the audience I touch on, including like orchestrators and also like pipeline developers. So getting their like feedback is really important to inform what we need to build, and also gather their like and also gathering their customer feedback is just one way to inform the product, right? Like there are other like market trends and analysis that need to be done to and some gathering quantitative data to inform that decision too. And also like reaching out to new customers um, is another way to validate the product market fit, right? Like through the conference events, finding potential customers, potential leads to validate their needs is also part of my job. And definitely stakeholder management, right? Like connect with both internal and external audience to really understand what other initiatives to prioritize is something I'm working on too.
Great. Hopefully that answers your question, Osman. Um, yeah, definitely. So any other questions from the community? I think there's one up here from Excellency Jumbo. Yeah, something like that. I think it's more of a question. It's a very technical question, so I don't think think this is more of a question for like Hunter or something. But yeah, is this might not be directed to you, but I'll ask it out loud in case someone does want to step in and answer it. Is the Livepeer SDK planning to or currently in development to support multiple collaborations on live streams? Specifically, will there be functionality that allows multiple participants to share their screens or appear in the video stream simultaneously instead of limiting to just one person? Uh, does anyone want to jump in?
Yeah.
I think he means like real time between two people rather than HLS like one to many streaming. Do you know? Would you want to give that a shot, Ceiling?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like it yeah, I think that's a question we need like think through, and it's a really good question. It literally can inform, our current development. So if we can make a thread for that, and I will follow up there.
Right. Yeah. Rick said he'll make a thread for it in the developer lounge, and then they can dive deep into just kind of what the specifics are around updating these SDKs, what he wants to see, and then figuring out what the plan is. Something worth investigating. So okay, cool. Let's we've been at this for about 40 minutes. So I guess the last question for you, Ceiling, is kind of what do you what do you see in the Livepeer network that excites you? What do you see in crypto or Web3 that excites you? Or what do you see in the future at all that you're excited about that means something to you and that you would love to see develop into the future?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, so I would say like, what I see in the Livepeer network that excites me. Yeah, like in the short term, that is the real-time AI product offering. This is kind of the first ever offering, right, in the Web3 network, if we can pull this off, in terms of, having like developers be able to develop video related technology in decentralized network in a reliable way. And that if you look at the latest release from NVIDIA, they are actually tackling that field as well. Like enable the multi-modality, uh, the the AI meta modality. So particularly related to video, right? We saw a lot of breakthroughs in text to text, text to image, but not so much in the text to video or video to video in general. So I think that is the field that are super interesting. And if you see this could be put off, that would be huge. Like it could potentially change the movie industry, change the even like how creators operate day to day, right? So that's what excites me, to just see the breakthrough in the video technologies in the decentralized world, and in general, like the Gen AI field, like how do we enable more creative video production, um, yeah, and truly like transform some outdated in this industry and make it much more cost effective. Even in the future, like 2 or 3 years down the line, everyone can make like Hollywood movie like movie like ourselves. Yeah, so that sounds super exciting.
Great. I will introduce you all to the Titan premiere event of Titan versus Titan. Just just two one evils, one's not evil, one's evil, and they just fight each other in Web3 context. Like Spider-Man. That'll be my movie, so we'll see if I can do it in the real time app when it
Yeah.
comes out. Cool. Okay. That's awesome. Any other kind of comments or anything you want to leave behind before we move on?
Yeah, I just appreciate, the opportunity, right? Like to share my stories and engage with the community. I think everyone in this community is super friendly, and I encourage, you all to just ask us questions, like share your ideas in the developer lounge. Yeah, like just today, right? Like we got a very good technical questions, and that could potentially inform our product development. So just yeah, appreciate the uh, friendly and transparency, yeah, community there.
Very cool. Well, swing by every Monday if you'd like. We're here doing we do Q&As and general talk and everything else. So if you want to swing by and keep just hanging out in the community, we'd love to have you. And yeah, welcome to the ecosystem, Ceiling.
Thank you.
Great. So feel
Thanks, Nathan,
yeah
too.
Yeah, no worries. Feel free to stick around and hang out. We got one more Q&A session, and then we're going to jump into the rest of the topics. But yeah, I'd like to thank Xiling for coming out and doing the introducing herself to the community and showing us yeah, kind of some cool perspectives and some experience that will bring value to the ecosystem. So it's really awesome to have them. Okay, let's continue on. OriginStory, are you with us?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. Nice to see you. And
Yeah.
we're going to kick off your Q&A session. I think you have a pre-proposal out. For those in the chat and listening, we'll throw that into the chat here so people can kind of follow along. This is the I guess it would be E squared. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
E squared education and experience focused SPE. So for those that haven't read through the pre-proposal yet, can you give us an outline of what the pre-proposal is? What are the goals? And yeah, give us an overview of what this is all about.
Yeah, sure. First, wanted to say really interesting to learn more from Xiling and also some of the ways that everyone is thinking. I think a lot of that is also in line in what we are putting forward with this pre-proposal and also some of the goals of where we see we can be of existence also as this AI narrative and educational narrative for live stream and creative economy continues to play out. So yeah, so it's called E squared, and we're basically focusing on two pieces. I think anyone who is working in or around the AI narrative has also heard a lot of calling about upskilling and transformation and all of this need for people actually to go through this education cycle, and who will have access to that and how will that work is very key to basically what kind of innovations come forth, because it's also who's getting to experiment with the technology. And something that we found over the last year, I was just counting earlier, for something we've done about 29 activations or experiences, conferences, and like real world since May of 2023, specifically in this space. That there's also not a lot of opportunities for people. They're growing for sure, but for people, especially creatives who are professionals, to experiment and play with the technology, it's coming in, as we know, from like a, let's say, high level partner Lionsgate film or enterprise sort of company level, and then you have, of course, people building things in Comfy UI and this new class of creative. But in this upskilling and also in this innovation layer, we're missing a large amount of people who can help with not only applications but also to find this product market fit that everyone is elusively grabbing for in the air a bit with AI. So our goals are pretty simple. This is something we want to start and then expand with other partners and teams in the space. We've been talking to some people as well in part two, but really to be focusing a little bit more on real world applications, really devoid of necessarily even needing a blockchain narrative. And so this comes down to actually interesting things that you were talking about, educational content, but really building out like a series of very high end education materials for people both online and then IRL, to be able to really dive deeper into what is this technology and how can they use it and what are interesting ways. I think um, this is one of our key sort of goals. And then the second is really playing around with experience, which is bringing both market research and also targeting specific customer segments where AI really is useful. The film industry, for one, is a very large, its own ecosystem, and different roles of who actually will be eaten first or what becomes valuable in the terms of AI pipelines is very sort of different than what happens in this new creative class where anyone just kind of is making AI film, which will be its own mechanism. So, really kind of focusing on those two pieces, which is how can we create content that's actually allowing people to understand what they can build, how they can build it, different even creative workflows, and how are we putting forth experiences that are not only driving demand because people are using these in like real world examples, so a couple which I can give, but also building out sort of what this market will look like. It's a time of transformation, and I think something that I find, I'll drop a couple links here, but something I found on Twitter that is very interesting is a lot of people talking about this narrative of how storytelling is so important, and there is this differentiation between like sort of the film and the ideas that are being made now with what you can do now that you can just turn a prompt into video, and the traditional sort of formats that are going to stick around, are actually going to become more valuable. I will drop one link now. Ben Affleck had a really interesting chat a couple days ago about like how it will affect the industry in different parts, and just really starting to attack where in the pipeline people like a Ben Affleck actually is using this, right? So these are people that are, let's say, have either an independent production company or a large scale production company with like a lot of efficiencies in their own workflows that they need to resolve for, and also a lot of communication issues that come to bat when you're trying to build like large things at scale. So there's a lot of ways inside that I think demand can be created, and being able to do that market research, continue some of that, and bring it back, I think will help fuel some of the larger goals of the Livepeer build out. So I'll stop talking for now. Happy to answer questions or dive deeper into certain parts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is a quite a long proposal. This just kind of sifting through it here. I'd like to start off by talking about specifics about the proposal. So we kind of got an overview of what the goal is. First, I'd like to talk about deliverables. Second, funding amount, and then third, the team. So let's talk about the deliverables. It looks like you have a 6-month timeline for deliverables. Can you kind of give us an idea of what is going to be delivered, what format, what kind of content, and the timeline to achieve that? So tell us what will be produced from this SPE.
Yeah, sure. So we kind of are breaking things into a couple of deliverables. One is around the educational content. So that's both um, letting people really understand what is existing even in the docs and what's possible in the Livepeer pipelines, and then also how these things are used in traditional or storytelling formats. So the basics of like how you would get started from basically an idea into using it. And this can be both for, let's say, traditional developers, which are already going to be in this Web3 ecosystem, and are sort of creative builders, creator builders that are emerging, especially with AI coding, Cursor, all of these pieces, who are really interesting in like how you drive new innovation in products. So that educational content is sort of geared toward that demo, and so there will be 12 short form pieces, most likely broken down from the 6 longer form educational pieces, where we're going to actually work with both, yeah, like scripts and proper editing and storytelling to make sure that those are, I guess, imagine like a mini version of a master class, I guess is the best way to sort of put that in terms of style and quality. And so that will be both, can be hosted where Livepeer would like to host things. Also YouTube, the short forms will likely be disseminated through social content, and then there will be some posting in Web3, but honestly, was we're thinking about users and what matters, like AI and being able to actually generate and innovate and storytell and all those things, like really is and can be devoid of the tokenomics and blockchain component to some degree when reaching out to the public. And so we want to like make sure that that is a focus, so that there is that ability to not have to have it necessarily always be tied as a one-to-one for a new user. And then in addition to that, there's the part about market research, which is around new case studies. So we've been doing, like we did a live stream around co-creation this summer, which I can put a link to if you check on our website. And that was where people basically could log in, co-create visuals for the concert, and they were live streamed. And that was a really successful way to help people understand what's possible, push like different models and what you can actually do already without agentic workflows and LoRa's inside of the Livepeer network. Um, and sort of change some of customer and like user perception of like AI is bad and why do I need it and how does it actually do anything for a concert, because it unlocks storytelling at a larger scale. So in Amsterdam, which is where I'm based, we're planning to do a like another version of case study around dance music visuals in a space um, that allows to really test again some of these things like real time AI and like more traditional things like text to image, image to video that we've been using. I'm going to pull up the space for that. And so that would be a deliverable of an actual experience that we will do. We're looking at a couple of dates. Probably February would be the earliest, but maybe we wait till March. The Hungarian generator. And then another type of customer segment use case, also in creative culture sector, but this is basically around theater. And so we music. Just sending you some links here. So we basically were approached by a theater, a DJ who's producing music for a new theater production in Warsaw, and so we were talking about that experience for the user, like because obviously AI is just hot. So even her publicist is like, they're like, how like if we use AI, it's let's talk about it, but like, what does it mean? Is it driving economy? Blah blah blah. But thinking about the post show experience where people are very much engaged in what they saw and want to take home a memory and like can basically like bring in their own personal experience into this play or to this theater piece or live performance that they've just seen. And so basically that show has just got extended until June. It was originally going to be like a really small run. And so they already got permission from the theater and from the creative team that we can basically start really ideating on what this looks like. And so basically we're building out the idea of like, yeah, a post show collectible concept with co-creation and AI, which of course um, becomes to extend and create new markets of where it even fits, because that is, I mean, how many productions of shows in every city in every country in the world happen, and how, and that's already like a market where people buy things. It's already like a mature market, this idea of like merch at shows. So these are two that we will be in this first 6 month of what do we say, like this sort of like initial framework. And then in addition to that, we are starting planning on with Almer, who's on the team, which I guess we'll talk about in a second. Something in the visualization center in a city called Norrköping, which is a little bit outside of Stockholm, and it's basically like a mini version of the Sphere in Las Vegas. If we know what this is, yeah, I mean we know what that is, I guess. And so the idea of like co-creation and these larger spaces and education around not just being able to like put it up, but working with organizations like Svensk Live, which is an educational organization for like 200 youth organizations who put on live events in Sweden. And so, like, how to be able to perform workshops for them that allow them to understand, again, what are these things? How do you build pipelines? Some people are going to want to build Comfy UI. Like, I think one of my current thesis is kind of like we have these two
Origin,
roads.
I'm just gonna stop you there because man, I love the enthusiasm. Like you're going through so much stuff, and it's absolutely incredible, and I can tell you're just so excited. But we've gone down. We're there's so many rabbit holes you opened up, and I'd love to explore them. Um,
Yeah,
but
sure.
but I just
Go
want to
ahead.
pull back a little bit because just in the essence of time, because I know there's lots of like different avenues and things that you're excited about, and I can't wait to talk about them. But I just want to kind of stick to the overview of the deliverables itself. So I'm just looking at the line items here. You said you got one here for development, one here for workshops and education and public events. So what I'm gathering is this LPT request is for kind of a multitude of things. So it's in-person events, it's education material, and then there's development. So what is, it says refining tools and integrations with Livepeer pipelines. Like, are you actually going to be doing dev work there? Like, what does that mean, the development side?
Yeah, so we have been I'm like 20 years creative, turned like 4 years technical now. So we have like our own tool. Sorry, I'm trying to type it just so you can check. We have our own tool that we've been building in the thesis of like it needs to be for creatives and not just for social media content. And so basically this development work is like around which is a perfect interlude to actually what I was saying or going to say about the thesis is that there's two things happening. You're creating like a new creative class, which are people who are not professional creatives. And in that, you start to create new forms of language and like a new art form is almost built and how you talk about editing and all of these things. And that's really exciting for like the future of the market. But right now, there's a ton of creatives who work professionally every single day who also are going to be in this AI transformation. And so, how do you actually meet them with tools that they need for their own workflows or that they can use to make better? Because if you do that, then you're actually getting customers and solving a problem that they need. And so that is kind of like our thesis that there still needs to be application development, especially in the front of how these tools are approaching storytelling and traditional formats of creative like output because those already have terminology and language. So it doesn't make sense to go try to like change how we talk about editing or camera angles or all of these things. And we need to have just like storyboards like built into applications because that's how everyone who works in creative already is working.
So you're
So it's
you're
like,
you're a creative person, and so you understand the process of selling to creative people, right? So is that kind of what you're saying?
it's not about even selling. It's just like there's problems that exist in creative and cultural sector that can be solved by AI for real professional creatives who are working as of today, not like the creatives we're gonna create in this new revolution of AI. And
Right.
they're both valid, but the challenge is like if only one is catered to or nurtured, then you're kind of like destroying the existing ecosystem in a way and also not tapping into it to like fuel innovation one step further because those people are the ones that have the real problems so they'll have interesting solutions or ways to kind of resolve them and part of that is like giving them a place and a space to even experiment.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love it. You've got a lot of different. I can tell you've got lots of ideas, and you're very enthusiastic, which is awesome. And so it sounds like I guess selling wasn't the right word. It was more like you're building tools that creatives are used to almost, and that they would resonate with. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and that expands into what the new one looks like too. Like what does this new world look like? Because that's kind of what we're also I think that's why it's not so easy just to find a product market fit because it's also not about retention. Like usually in apps, you're like how many users are on this app every hour of every day and it's like not everyone needs to make images and videos every day. Like that's just not. So it's hard like how many of those things go into production or like are they used on a high level. Like there's so many opportunities to also show, I think, with Livepeer what's great. Like I mean, not to do with the AI thing, but the live streaming on Netflix, right? With the boxing, it's like, okay, like great, like ha ha ha, could have been Livepeer, would have worked. Or even just thinking through like, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to let people in a way that they haven't, and Livepeer has an interesting opportunity to do it because it's open source and so you can go faster a bit. It isn't this like the indie hack or like this rise of the indie hacker that a lot of people have been really saying is going to not win but like have a large share or potentially have a large share of this moment. And so yeah, I've been in the ecosystem for a while and I'm excited but I'm also I know how to create ideas and execute them, and like that's just like part of being high level creative as well. And because we've been building technically, and I've spent like all the stuff been building with our app, like I was doing all the proof of concepts before we really expanded into like more senior team. but like I understand like what the technical and the creative deliverables are and how to like turn them in. And I think that more creatives don't more creatives could be there too to help with this moment of like innovation, but they need those kind of experience workshops as well, and opportunities, and especially like meeting them again where they are. Like I think that the challenge is if you don't go, yeah, if you don't expand further out, right, you're still in that same circle. So it feels like you're getting somewhere, but how do you keep to grow?
Right.
So
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, awesome. You have deliverables here. You've got a plan. You've got an idea. Ideas. It's awesome. I'm really, really enthusiastic about this. Next, I want to move on to budget. So, your requested amount is 3,333 LPT, um, and I believe it says here a 6-month pilot initiative. So tell us how you came up with the amount, what kind of expenses this is going to cover, and then if this is a pilot, what do you expect to have happen after 6 months? Would you apply again for some more funding? What is the idea behind the pilot?
Yeah, sure. So as we kind of lock into, I guess, phase two of the AI moment, right? Which is like it's here to stay, but like, what's it going to do and how are we going to use it? That's a pretty long pipeline still to like, um, adoption and like really strong case studies that resonate and can scale multiple times. A good example would be like this Coca-Cola video a couple days ago, or maybe it dropped yesterday. But if you also check on Twitter, there's just so many AI creators being like, "Wow, I wish Coca-Cola had hired me because it's so sad that Coca-Cola made a bad AI video." Which I mean, that's like nor here nor there. Aesthetics is like why you choose to do something. But if a big brand like Coca-Cola, which has massive distribution and will be in front of a bunch of eyeballs, has created something that is again isn't interesting to the general public, that also slows down like willingness to play around. It still feels like we're just stealing from artists in a way. So part of what that is looking like is like, okay, in this first part, how do we create frameworks that include like guides and things that can also be used by other people
I'm just gonna just try stay on. I'm just gonna try ask that again. The question is, how did you come up with the 3,333
yeah.
LPT, and will you be applying for that again in 6 months?
Got it. Yeah, so I came up with between like workload distribution for making all the education things, previous budgets for workshops and experiences events that we've done, and actually quite low. Like we won't be able to do like any really like let's say very big experiences with this, which is fine. It's more like how can we prototype a couple of really strong customer segments and use cases in some different markets in the same sector. And so from by the end of this 6 months, that work ideally will also be continuing. So this would be able to also maybe bring in additional partners like UFO or Refraction, like be able to like coalesce deeper with Xiling. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. To really figure out like how can we build some blockbuster use cases and also brand awareness that like sometimes it takes a large amount of capital to do that, and especially start bringing in like bigger names or bigger events or whatever, like trying to reach a large audience. But I think it's very valuable, which is why you see like OpenAI um, doing a lot of community stuff, and Runway had already been doing it as well, and now they're like you see that is starting like I think Anthropic is hiring a brand communications manager that's more of a creative role in this way as well. So the idea is that like essentially we'll be getting organized, have some really amazing like use cases, like views on the videos, and also like let's say intel on the market and pipelines, and be able to leverage that into like a larger ask with more partners, including in the Livepeer network
So
with those metrics.
just to jump in,
Yeah.
but specifically the 3,333 LPT. do you have a breakdown of how you got to that number, or is that just a random number that you kind of eyeballed and said this should cover the expenses for what we want to develop? Like, is there a spreadsheet with a breakdown, or is this a guess, your best guess on what would cover your expenses? Is that how you came up with the amount?
I don't have like a full number of how much it will cost because the case study wise, like it depends on which one we actually do. But I have some number. I have like a general like estimate of this, which I
Okay,
can
so
send and
this is
show.
the you don't have to share it specifically. I mean, sharing a breakdown of how you came up with the number oftentimes helps us understand what we're funding. But if this is your best guess at how much you're looking to receive, and then that's fine too. I'm just trying to establish like is this is because in US dollar terms at whatever $10 LPT right now, that's about $33,000. Like, is that enough for 6 months of this type of content and development? Like, it's for some people it would seem low, for others it would seem accurate. So I'm just trying to gauge like how you came up with the number, because it's also like a number that it's 3333, right? So it's a fun number, right? It's probably not like the sum of of a list of items. So I'm just trying to establish kind of the ask, kind of where it came from, and then again like the 6 month initiative. Are you just gonna do the pilot, get your feedback, figure out if it's worth continuing, and then reassessing the next 6 months, based on past 6 months, or are you set on this 3,000 LPT amount? Like, what's your budgeting in mind? What is the process of your budgeting, or are you just figuring that out as you go?
So yeah, so we originally had looked at 12, like it at 12, so we were saying around 40. So I know it's a bit lower, but we are also part of the Artisan Fund this season, so it's potential that we could maybe collaborate the funding together to like make it part of a match fund. So I thought for the pilot, because our deliverables are like we're keeping them very small. So the you would have the digital series. There would be two use cases, and we would be doing the pre-production for the visualization center. So we wouldn't the first space like in Amsterdam. I am negotiating. We'll probably get it at uh, like a bar cost, but then of course there's all the live streaming setup and like some of the logistics around it. So like what those final look like, we don't know, but we're keeping them much smaller than like our last big live stream test case, which I think was like 15 or something. And so, yeah, the goal here is like we have some pretty good um let's we have some pretty good ideas around certain customer segments and that ones that are like getting more market ready. So in 6 months, which also becomes like summer and festival season, some of these might be really like ready to adopt at like a larger scale. Some are still going to be very early. Like I'm pretty sure this play with the co-creation in Warsaw will be the first time a theater is doing this, other than like probably some experimental
Right.
production. And so it could be very valuable, and then that continues to scale like through PR and distribution and maybe sales or whatever, and maybe people like at different parts of the life network, or it's the public might think that AI has no place at the theater, and so you're like, okay, that was not that's like a really that's good to know that like they're not ready or this is not the way it's going to come in. And then when you're looking at other verticals, like it's just still it's too early to I think like 6 months in AI is and even crypto and all these things is so long, right? So knowing like we have where we're trying to get to, and it also in that time trying to see who else we can partner with to do either very disruptive moments or just get like even wider distribution for some of the things that already exist, then that gives us time to build. Like if, for instance, Can is at ECC next year, and I've seen some people not being so happy with the location, but it also is an amazing opportunity because of the location and like how venues and infrastructure is built in to actually do something super disruptive with like a large global um, eyeball like view, right? And to plan that properly is 6 to 12 months, and uh, we'll be able to also bring back some of that feedback to know if it's worth it or not, or just to continue doing some very highbrow, or not highbrow, but like let's like high quality, but like not less massive scale activations still.
So
Um,
so it sounds like, yeah, you've come up with a budget that you think can cover the deliverables. You'll act on them. You're going to spend 6 months. You'll come and revisit it because 6 months in AI is a lifetime, right? So who knows the the opportunities and challenges in 6 months from now. So this is the pilot for that. Let's continue on to the team. Who's involved? Are these full time people, part time people? Are they being paid? Are they doing this on their own? What is your team? How does it? Tell us a little bit about the.
yeah, sure. So there's kind of like two tiers. You have the people who are working on it. Well, three really. You have the people who are working on it full time, which is basically me, and then Adam. As well, a bit part time at the moment, just because we're not doing as much dev stuff. And then we have Almer and Will who are also on there that are coming in specifically to kind of help around this concept. Um, Almer he has a deep house label that does quite well on YouTube, and is also working at Svensk Live, which is this educational organization around youth. And so the idea is that both he and Will, who is Time AI 100, and basically collaborating with us on educational series, and potentially some experience stuff as well. They basically will be like on a project fee, and then under that we will have like a series of freelancers and contractors that will be per event, like per workshop, et cetera, to fuel to fill out what we actually need in some of those roles. So we're starting very slowly. That's the other reason why it's to come back. It's like there's a lot of opportunity in our because of our time in creative sector and with industry of like working with people and starting to bring in people as like even like for that are higher up in, let's say, the entertainment food chain or whatever that means. But like it's very those relationships take time, and like things need to be really solid, and like need to have amazing use cases before we go back to them. But starting to try to bring in a couple of those people now, just to test the waters there. And that's like with Will and Almer, who are obviously both crushing it if you look at like the bios there. And then so we have like yeah, we've been working with freelance dev contractor, and as like one of our advisors who is a senior engineer at like a big protocol. They will be, of course, being paid for development work, not the senior engineer, that's the advisor, but the developers. And then yeah, it will be like it will be a combination of a crew that's working on the EDU, and then every experience will have probably a combination of like some local assistance, um, and also our crew. And that also depends as it gets built out, like how big those things become as well in terms of the use case. So, for instance, the theater, like we're discussing like an extension to that, and like potentially another space. Because of course the thing with creative ideas is once people start to understand what's possible, then you can really start to like maybe like yeah, you can play around a bit more. So
Definitely.
that's it, I think, for
Cool.
now.
Any questions for Origin Story and the pre-proposal from the audience? Please put it in chat, or open up your mic. I'll open it up now. Origin Story, when are you planning to put forward the proposal?
Yeah, I mean, I so it's, as you know, it's Q4 is almost over. And so I think if the sooner we can actually like know if this is happening or not, the more time we have to build out for next year versus like it being really close to the holidays and having to wait until like February to come back. So on my end, like I think if people have questions, I know Brad's here. I think I just would love some clarification on exactly. I think there's like a stake involved or something. But if people are like into it and think that it's very beneficial, I would love to try to get this moving.
Cool.
My mic working? Yep, it is. Hey, Sean. I just wanted to chime in real quick that I think what he's what they've put together and some of the things they've done, I think are really cool and will help, I believe, the whole ecosystem be able to more accurately tailor like what they want to generate from the AI into something that they're looking for, they have in their head. Could just be me, but I struggle quite a bit on getting to that point. Like there's a lot of trial and error for me to get to that point. So I feel like if there is stuff to help like short circuit that learning curve to get to a style or consistency or even like what he said, shots or views and how it is coming out will help quite a bit accelerate the building and the creating on the network.
Thanks, Brad. Nice to see you, and or not see you, but hear you.
Yeah, nobody can see me right now. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I think in general, like, educational content for Livepeer is almost all around good. It's a shot on goal. It's content. Whether it's educational, in person, tooling for creatives, like all those types of proposals for SPEs is the things we should be focusing treasury funds on. So I also think the 3,000 LPT is very reasonable, if not on the low end. For me personally, like, you know, if OriginStory is full time for 6 months plus some part time plus, you know, expenses and develop, like, you know, at $10 LPT, you know, that you know, that the slim budget for lots of development. But at the same time, you know, you can stake the Livepeer tokens and you know, potentially earn rewards there, and that might offset if you don't have to spend them right away. PT price is fluctuating, and you know, we're kind of entering kind of what seems to be a bull run. So the LPT will go up in price, and so there's lots of things to consider. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great proposal, and I'm glad to. I haven't read it in full and depth. I've only picked out just a few pieces that I looked for during this call. Overall, I'm pretty optimistic.
Thanks. Yeah, I made it long, and I made a short version of it as well, but I kept it there because I mean I think in theory, as I said, right, we're probably coming back for a larger amount, not like ha 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 ha, but like I think if you're gonna give money to something, like we should read it. Like it needs to be fleshed out a bit, just so people, if they have questions that are there, you have something to look at. So yeah, it was cool to be able to talk about it a lot now too. I think that was helpful, and very curious. If you have questions, let me know. But what is the process? Just so I'm clear again. Essentially, it goes on the treasury, right? I would just post this with, or I need to find someone who's staked a certain amount to nominate it or something like this.
I think you. How does it work? You need to have a certain amount staked in order to post treasury.
I think
Proposals?
100.
100
the last
LPT.
time.
Do you need 100 LPT Origin?
Oh my God, I will give it back to you if someone does that, and we will stake 150 LPT for sure, minimum at minimum.
I'll send you 100. You can create the proposal.
Oh, you're amazing, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. This is like my third year in this Livepeer ecosystem kind of. We started just like we did this educational workshop in Mexico City, and that was really cool. That was like my intro into it, and now I think with everything you're building with the AI and having like just efficiency, like the subnet and stuff, is also really going to be important because of course there are people doing that like fall, and they're like crazy, right? Every day it's like, oh my god, how many new models do you have in on this site? But I think that like having something that's affordable, that like is open source and that people can use and like that we can go out and help give people credits for. Like a lot of times people don't make stuff because it's expensive. Like Runway, like to make something in Runway, you need like 35, not 35, but like 20 bucks basically, 25 US. And that's a lot every time if you're just playing around. Like even though major films or big shows or whatever cost like, hundreds of thousands, but like in that just that ability to like capture a market that also doesn't have access, I think is like, or that has access but doesn't have like capital just to like YOLO on credits and stuff, I think is also very valuable for what you do.
So 100 LPT is the minimum stake.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you for checking.
So,
Yeah, and Sean, thanks for presenting the proposal here. We had the ability to work during the started program. It was really nice to work with you. I'm really excited about this. I think there's one of the things that Livepeer is missing really is this outgoing focus, really showcasing this product in the real world. And you have been doing that already, and I'm really excited about this. And ready, and my team is ready to help you along the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it will be really great. I think we'll come up with some really fun use cases and also pipelines, like just easy ways for people to come in and like use it, leverage what's there.
Yeah, and that was my only question. I think I reviewed the proposal. I asked it there. So is your team also looking to develop pipelines yourself?
So yeah, so you already have like like real time, right? You're still kind of an infrastructure and like not really application to some degree. And I think our thesis is like not everyone's gonna build in Comfy UI. Like
Mhm.
people are gonna want like things that they know. Like, and maybe this is still wrong, right? Because it's so early, so maybe we all are going to build in comp UI. But like, I
Mhm.
think the idea of be able to make like a comp sheet like really quickly for people, which is something we didn't integrate yet, which is just like, okay, here's 8 models in the same prompt, exactly what it looks like. I can pick one, it can become my like style base, and like I'm off to the races. Like just that simplicity of being able to make a choice at once, which yeah, you can do somehow in models already, but making that really easy is one. And then also just thinking about like storyboards, like both there's traditional storyboarding of just like I'm making a film, but like there's the shorts, like I'm making a TikTok or whatever, right? Like so there's also like these new ways of how content is edited together and being able to give them layouts for that, I think is also like when we just think about efficiency, because the key for most creatives won't be necessarily that they're making better art like or creative than they would normally. I think it's going to be that it's faster and more efficient to like edit it all together and render it and blah 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 blah. And so they'd be willing to like add a shot here, do a shot there that is like AI infused on top of the other stuff. But like how do they just get through the process quickly so that they can have it ready to like distribute or to do the next part too. So this is part of why we go still market research, bigger communities, like really try to attack some like Gen Z, maybe even Gen Alpha, like how what are they doing like with the AI and versus like TikTok, just such an interesting, not to go too rabbit hole, but TikTok's so interesting of like how it changed like how you edit together, so it creates a new language. So and AI will have that for sure too, but because AI is trained on the previous stuff, which is mostly like film and TV and not this short form stuff that we use now, it actually has a slower language to it. So like the AI filmmaking language will maybe look very different than our short form language now, but it might look more like old film because that's like what it was trained on, the data.
great. All right. Let's continue on Origin Story. DM me when you get a chance, and I'll send you the LPT to make the proposal. Yeah, you'll be on your way.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I will. My team will help you submit it if you need help with that. Explain the full procedure.
Or get Rick involved first. Get it all ready. If you need me, I can hop in, but otherwise it might be good to work with the SPE team.
Okay, I'll just pop in our DM chat. Maybe that's the best. And then you both see it.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, let's continue on. So that concludes both of our Q&A sessions. Appreciate everyone being here. We're going to quickly end it off with a couple topics that were mentioned at the beginning. Papa Bear, you had one around ticket amounts during gas spikes. Do you want to explain to us what you're seeing?
I mean, when there's a gas spike, the ticket price is substantially higher than the normal ticket price, and I know that was originally put into place during L1, but I'm not sure, and I haven't really looked too far into it. If it still makes sense to have the same formula that's in place. My just initial reaction would be, instead of and I don't even know how it was on L1, if it was like 10 times the gas or something like that, or that the price goes up. But I mean, I see on a normal ticket, it's it can be, depending on the ETH price, 1 or 2 cents or something to cash a ticket, and but if a ticket's $20, it might be 4 cents. So it doesn't seem. I mean, as an orchestrator, I'm not really thrilled about it, but someone who runs a gateway, it just seems like also you're paying a lot of extra money for that same amount of work, where if it costs a penny or two more to cash that ticket, doesn't seem like the ticket should be 5 times the price, even if it's maybe 5 times the price to cash it, which is 1 cent versus maybe 5 cents or something like that. It's I'd rather just see the ticket be like 5 cents more. It seems like it'll be more fair and more scalable for anyone who wants to come in and use Livepeer as a broadcaster to don't have to pay these crazy fees just because of the gas spike.
I think it comes back to the hard-coded assumptions on gas price in Go Livepeer that I don't believe have been updated since the Nitro upgrade, which kind of changed things quite a bit. So I think I'm not sure where it is on the horizon to look at it, but I'd imagine it wouldn't be till Q1 of next year. But I agree with you. The tickets tickets go up a lot, and the cost to actually redeem them does not.
Which, I mean,
at
hey,
all.
as an orchestrator, I love it. But on the other side, when we're paying for an AI ticket, I'm like, wait, that one costs $20.
Yeah.
It's the amount of work. What happened there?
Yeah, and it costs what, like you said, what maybe 5
Yeah,
cents more?
yeah. I think at the most I've seen it like 6 cents. But yeah, I think the last one I saw was like 5 cents, and I was like, 5 cents? Pay just $16? That just seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know that the fix is super hard. It's just I think the testing around it might be a little bit more difficult on it. That's my,
Yeah,
gut
no,
opinion
I
on
figure it
it.
was probably one of those things that just slipped through the cracks. But
Do you know if we have an issue about it? I can go try to look.
I
Might be
doubt
able
it. I just kind of noticed. Oh, I didn't just notice it, but I was kind of thinking about it this morning when I was like, some of these tickets. There was a big gas spike, and I was like, some of these tickets are really high.
Yeah. As you said, as an orchestrator, we're like, oh darn.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, let me hit one now. It'd be great. But yeah, I'm like, don't make, I don't want to pay one right now, but I'll, catch one in.
Right.
Yeah, I just think that something slipped through the cracks there, where on L1 it was, hey, when it was $50, $100 for gas or to catch a ticket. Yeah, I think it made sense. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
remember
we're
it.
talking a
I remember the
couple
L1
of
days.
pennies. Yeah. I don't
How
think anyone's gonna.
we all called reward for about $200 a pop.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to watch it all day long. Oh, gas is down right now. Call it reward. But yeah, I think probably needs a little sort of look into it and figure out what's the right way to do it. But it doesn't seem like what's happening now is the
Rick, do you know,
next
are
thing.
they looking at this anything like in this ballpark with the live video tickets?
Yeah, I think they use the same pricing mechanism. They also they price it by pixels. So they haven't
Okay.
looked at this yet, but
I think Grafal has the payments part of that whole live video to video pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
forgotten
I
exactly
just
how it works.
asked
Maybe I can send him a
Rafael.
ping before he gets into it, or Rick can before he gets into it. Hey, if you notice anything, maybe adjust something.
It could
But
be
yeah,
it
I
could
think
be
it
a
was a
nice way
nitro
to
upgrade.
link it to existing in the existing issues indeed. So I will check the thread where it was discussed in, and let's ask if he has bandwidth to do it. So it's just like you say, it's just changing this parameter and then doing a lot of tests, which is the hard part.
Yeah, but we should be able to. We should be able to, like, I don't know, hotwire the testing apparatus to just run scenarios, right?
Yeah, you can loop it.
Rather than just sit there and wait for a gas price. You should be able to simulate a gas price spike in the tests. I've just never done it yet.
I'm sure with launch next month, it's probably like the not exactly high
Yeah,
priority.
it's probably not going to happen this
Yeah,
before
it's
the
not a
end of
huge
the
deal. It was
year.
just something like I was like, hey, I need a topic for today, and this came up, so I'm just bringing it up. But
Unless we can write a bounty for it, that'd probably be the best way. But this is deep in the weeds of Go Livepeer.
We can
well,
always
I
try.
was really just trying to create some conversation, so not losing any sleep over it, but I do think it's broken.
Do you guys, Papa, since you're talking, do you guys still notice, are things still getting stuck in the selection on the AI stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
It happened over the
I
weekend.
think I
so
missed some review comments. I need to go back and clear those on my fix. Were you guys running the fix that I had, or some version of it?
No, we're running the last release with just a couple of like modifications for collecting data, but no.
Okay.
No,
Okay, because there might, I was just gonna say there might be some changes, but I need to write some tests and make sure it's not sticking still. But
yeah, well,
clear
because
the other
the
review
problem is,
comments.
I mean, it sticks, but it also like, if someone fails, that's the real bad part. It'll stick on a
Yeah.
failing node too. So yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
about
that, I think
on a
there's a
small
couple of things.
signal.
Like one, it's actually recording a very low response time when something fails. Usually it's pretty fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that
It
it
shouldn't
fixes that in
record
testing.
that time as because everything failed. That
Yeah,
time
it's
shouldn't
basically
be.
like yeah, it's like instant, or
Yeah,
a couple of
and
milliseconds.
then the suspension didn't work. I think the fix that I had really focused on the suspension, but as I look at it, I'll see if I can either separate PR or same PR if it's not too complicated to not even record that latency score. But I need to look at that all again to get more familiar with it.
All right. Yeah, no, I saw over the weekend someone was having problems. They kept it in 503, so I took a look and I saw it was just sending a job just to the same orchestrator over and over again, and they were failing every time. I was like, damn, that's a lot. I mean, I might have been 50 requests they made, all went to the same org.
Yeah, and since it goes so fast, it's probably pretty difficult to even like try to get that one out. But if they have the fastest time, they're gonna get picked for the most part. So maybe it's just, yeah, it is quite a short circuit in the current state of
I'm
things.
like, if it's too short, just throw them out. I'm sure give some better logic than that, but yeah. Unrealistically fast, then don't use that don't use that value.
Low. Okay. Great. Sorry, I just stepped away for a sec. Did we cover that
I think
topic,
we covered.
Papa?
I think we covered my topic. Yeah, if anyone else had one.
There's one more topic. Jason,
Move
you
on.
had a topic around a Discord bot. Maybe work with Livepeer docs. Do you want to explain to us a little bit about what that project could be?
Yeah, so I was just checking over the developer lounge, and there were questions, normal questions that related to the documentation, which you could answer if you went through the docs one by one, but since like you have to search through now, there is like a AI in the docs website itself as well, but I was hoping like if you could just ask a docs bot what question you want, and what would search through the documents and find any related answers and display them right there. And if that's the solution you get, you don't have to worry. You can move on and do your thing. If that doesn't solve you, then you could actually like ask from the core developers or orchestrators or something. So that's just the thinking process. And I'm talking to Anne at the moment to test it in our Discord. I was hoping like if anyone's interested, since there are new people's coming all the time and they're asking questions like what does Livepeer do or what are orchestrators and stuff, that those are questions we've answered like so many times. And if there's like a already like a bot that answers them according to how we answered, that would be like really nice as well. And of course we could interact with the questions if those are not answered correctly. So that's the whole thing, the bot. So I just wanted to add Livepeer, and I'm talking to Anne about it.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing.
If I could jump in quickly, sorry, I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Jason was saying, I was checking it out. So I'm just gonna do some due diligence on my end, but it's looking good so far. So I'm just gonna add it to my test server, see how things work, and then we can get it added in. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how folks find it.
Great. Looking
Yep.
forward to
So
it.
just wanted to ask, like, once if it's added, like, and once it's added, I'd like everyone to test it and just tell me feedback on it, what could be improved and stuff. It wasn't really much of a question, maybe like a topic of discussion, but yeah.
Jason, quick question. How would it look like as the docs keep getting updated? How, is it
Yeah.
pretty easy to update the bot?
Yeah, it's a straight up process. Like the bot isn't fine tuned on the docs. It's using uh embeddings from the documentation itself. So you could just pull the new documents and update the embedding. So it's like a second or two.
Oh, cool.
Not, it's not a big deal.
So if I make a one-word change to the docs, you can
Yeah,
pull
yeah,
it.
it would be. Yeah, I would have to set up a like I can just set up a new service that looks for the changes in the documentation and pulls that new documentation and does the embedding all over again. But yeah, that can be easily integrated in the bot itself.
Cool.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a very interesting idea. And you stated that the new feature from Mintlify, it will take too much work, or at least it will cost too much to implement. That they have the whole docs as an LLM
Oh
text.
yeah, there was like a link that had like everything on a text file,
Yeah.
and if you could like first of all, I don't think like the any LLM that has like a 32,000 token limit. I think that will take everything like as a input tokens. That of course that's gonna cost a lot of credits for API because I think it's like 1 million input tokens per input out per like depends on the model itself. But yeah, if you have to run that every time you want to answer questions with the LLM itself without using any RAG, that's gonna cost a lot of like
Oh, yeah,
tokens.
makes sense.
So I was hoping like
Okay.
if you could just like you could do like a embedding search on the document, and once you get the related like wording and context, you could send that to the LLM so that it's not the whole document, just the thing you need related to the topic, and then LLM can curate the answer for you and they will reply to you. Also at the moment, like the bot isn't using Livepeer. I would like to use it. I think we have APIs that is similar to other large language models, so it won't be a big like a technical thing to switch to LLM in Livepeer once it's done and ready.
Yeah, that I think it would be great. You can contact Nico about that. He's gearing up the launch of the LLM pipelines, really the public launch. So that will be launched soon, if I'm correct. But he will update the community on that.
Yeah,
But you
so
can
it would be
already
nice.
use it. Yeah, you can already use it. He has like a development server. I think you can even already sign up on their website. I can share it in the chat.
There's a question here. I just want to go back. Is it bath time asked? Some guy recently got a disruptor grant passed to make it easier for clients to set up their own managed gateways. My question is, if you set up your own managed gateway, is it just a deployable Docker container which can be interacted with using the SDK? And do you get a webhook for streams and transcoding? Or is it something you need to develop and manage on your own?
You saw that question in the chat, or it's a question from you?
That question was in chat. So, yeah, if you want to answer it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I think the thing they're talking about is the grant wizard by Nick, and he's in the chat as well. So he can call. I don't know if he's available to come on stage, but you mean like the self-deployed gateway system, the gateway wizard.
So, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. But the gateway, the auto deploy or auto scaling and self deployed gateway, it's not going to have the SDK endpoints that Livepeer Studio has. That's an additional product they have built on top that does additional management features, offers more quality of life things, and it does interact with the gateways that they run. But the gateway is a lower level of the stack. It won't have the webhooks or like the asset create or the transcode. The transcode part of the docs is going to be the most one-for-one to the gateway, because that's really what the gateways manage. But like the S3 storage, distribution, asset management, that kind of stuff, those APIs won't be at the gateway. I think there was a guy named Eli that was trying to do that, to put that all into one Docker image, but right now they've pivoted. They're working on something called Aquarium that will provide a lot of those features while also using Livepeer, but I don't think it's launched yet.
Right. Okay. Any last topics we want to cover? Been at this. We only got about 10 minutes left. En, do you want to cover DevCon?
Sure. I wasn't sure if we're feeling tired, but if not, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead. We get
Okay.
13 minutes to take us
Okay,
out.
it's not going to take
boil DevCon down to 13 minutes.
So DevCon was good. It was me, Ria, and Rich that were there, and we each. So I was kind of like the person at DevCon, so I had a ticket to DevCon and went 2 of the days, and then we also did a lot of AI and like AI developer conferences. So I guess the 2 big highlights, or 3 maybe. One is about kind of Livepeer's brand. So I probably talked to maybe like 150 people, maybe like 70 of which I got a contact for. And one of the trends I noticed is, I'm calling it Livepeer : what? So people were like, oh, Livepeer, in like we have name recognition, and people were, impressed, right? That I said I worked at Livepeer. However, the colon meaning Livepeer : what I mean by that is, what's Livepeer known for? And I would say that, let's say if 75% of people knew what Livepeer was, I would say maybe 10% knew what we were doing. So that signaled to me that, on the marketing and branding perspective, and even maybe on the community perspective, there needs to be a better job done there. And I think, at least in Inc., I think we're aware of this. And we're working on, one second. And we're working on, making it better. 1 second. Sorry. But yeah, so that's the first piece, kind of, Livepeer Livepeer brand. The second piece was on DAOs, and I thought this was useful for the kind of GovWorks and SP formation stuff we were doing. There was a talk by I don't remember his name, forgive me, but he was really not infamous, really famous DAO contributor, delegator. And he has like a ton of tokens. He was showing them on the stage when he was talking. I was like, dang, he had like 3 million ENS tokens. I was like, dang. But anyway, he was talking about how like most DAOs aren't DAOs, and most things are just people and their rich friends dictating what's going to happen. And I was thinking about Livepeer during when he was talking, and I think I see a big difference in what we're doing here with our on-chain treasury. And I think we have a real opportunity to be a case study and a contrast from that industry trend, where the community is deciding what to do with the on-chain treasury, defining their own vision for the future of Livepeer alongside Inc. So that was the second point, and I thought that was pretty compelling. And the third point is I was able to connect with some AI developers. I think I connected with 4. And all of them were very interested in the real-time video AI. And the pitch I kind of communicated to them was, hey, we're at Livepeer, we do decentralized transcoding and real-time video AI. And essentially I used the case study of like tracking players in the ball on a live stream of soccer, or a VTuber, and creating that a more accessible way for people to make their own avatars. And and all of them were like, wow, this is something I haven't heard about before, and I think it would be super cool to join and build on Livepeer. So there was, again, small sample size, N is 4, but I think that is a pretty strong signal that they all seem very enthused about this new kind of AI direction that Livepeer is going in versus more generalized compute, because I think there's a lot of that at DevCon, and I think the real-time video AI is a differentiator for Livepeer. So those are my kind of 3 big takeaways. And the last one is just I had fun. It was great meeting Rich and Ria. And I met a lot of my mutuals that I've been, connected with for 4 or 5 years, who I've never met in person. So that was pretty cool. And I also learned that I'm more popular than I thought I was. So that's also cool.
Excellent. Are you jet lagged still coming back?
Fun fact, I don't get jet lag. So I don't know what it is. Maybe I have a strong internal clock, but if the sun's up, I'm like, time to get up.
Yeah, incredible.
So I don't know. It's always funny because I've never really had jet lag. But yeah, it was a great time. Like 10 out of 10. It was really fun. And another thing it made me think about, just from the Livepeer community perspective, is trying to host. I don't know where we're all centralized, but I'm going to be doing a community survey. But I think it would be also really fun to maybe have some like meetups in places where people are where Livepeers congregating around, our communities congregating around. Because I don't know, I think that like even though I'm a big bull on like digital spaces, there is something to be said about being in person with people that is really special. Yeah, and the last opinion on DevCon was, I think I heard some people say that like, oh, like, these are really technical talks. And I really didn't feel that way. I thought that a lot of things are really surface level at DevCon, at the side events. And I was hoping for a little bit more depth and more signal on what are the industry leaders thinking about, what are kind of the main problems of our industry, and like how do we move it forward, and how do we become more professional and become more legitimate in different ways. And I didn't really see that conversation, which was disappointing. But overall, 10 out of 10.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Anyone else have any questions about DevCon or how it all went? Cool. Okay, well, we've been at this for just about 2 hours. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for coming and being here. We had a great Q&A session with 2 people, and we got to know Xiling and OriginStory's SPE. Very excited to see those go forward. So thank you all for being here, for making Livepeer the open and decentralized video infrastructure for the world. We will see you all next week. Cheers.